Hi, I'm Goose, and I like Pokemon. And today I'm going to tell you about the single greatest business opportunity of 2026, and it's community, and particularly using the platform Skool. Now, in order for you to understand why community is the single best opportunity out there and why Skool might be your tool as well as it was mine, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. It's brief, so don't worry. Basically, I figured out at an early age that I didn't want to work for someone else. Or if I did, it was going to be for a cause that I kind of gave a fuck about. And there weren't a whole lot of those running around. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try it. And I started doing online courses and things of that nature and tried like 8 different platforms. Eventually, I landed on Skool. And what I discovered was that it was easier for someone like me, who had no social media following of any kind, I couldn't figure the thing out, to be able to blossom on that platform. And as of today, my main community now has 10,000 members. Enough to fill up granted a small stadium, but still a stadium. I told myself that I would begin making content when I hit 10,000, and that was yesterday. So here we are today, and I'm making my first video about business. So it wasn't social media that got me here, it was community. So here we go. Now, what's wonderful about community is that it's a little bit different than business. It's not completely different, but it basically becomes, in a way, as you'll see, a little bit of anti-business. And that's if you're optimizing for a community. So here's what I mean. When you're starting out to do a business, most of us spend a lot of time trying to be professional or super cool or suave. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but it does end up meaning that there's a little bit of a disconnect with like the you that you are with your friends and your family, and then the you that you are with your clients. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it basically means that you have a little bit of, you've got some switching to do. And it might also mean that you don't love what you do as much because it's not you. And that's kind of the beauty of community, is that if you're optimizing for it, what it means is you come in with all the things that are you. You don't need a following. You don't really need anything other than you to be ideally vulnerable, a bit open. And with those things, you get a following, not because people see you as professional, but because they see you as relatable. That's how you build a community. And that's what I was able to do. In fact, to this day, a lot of people will approach me and look at the outfits and crazy stuff that I see, that I wear, and say, Goose, you're so good at marketing. It's fucking incredible. And I will say, thank you, but you're terribly wrong. This did me no favors for the majority of my life. And then at one point, when I was a little after turning the age of 30, suddenly it became super successful in community. Now that is what makes community special. But there's another part to this too. Sure, on one hand, you are able to do a bit more of you, which if you're able to monetize something that you could just be yourself, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing, right? That's what I have the great fortune of being a part of now. But there's something else that comes along with it, which is that your LTV, it's a business term, and it talks about lifetime value. This is how long a client is with you or a member is with you with the service or thing that you're doing. And when you've optimized for community, that gets optimized as well. In fact, I would probably call them synonyms, because when you're servicing a regular client, let's say you work at a restaurant or you're providing some kind of coaching business. Well, if you're doing those things, you're trading time for money, which isn't necessarily where we all start, but it's not where we all want to be. And eventually, when you start transitioning into more of an education space where you're teaching people how to do the thing that you used to do or something of that nature, now you start finding yourself in a place where your growth and the growth of your members is kind of dependent on how long you have a relationship together. There are a lot of businesses out there that depend on having as many clients as possible, and so they spend most of their money on that traffic, as opposed to fulfilling those people and making sure that they're happy, which means that they stay. I mean, you can certainly still invest in getting new members, but not as much as you used to. And you now have people there that have a better relationship with you. This is the defining characteristic of community. Being able to extend your LTV and be a little bit more yourself, and you make more in the process, and your clients get more, and your members get more in the process. I hope that's making sense so far. So now that I've given you a few pointers on how to think about it, here's the technical way that I would begin. And the beautiful part is you can do it in 7 days. And if it takes any longer than 7 days, then you're dragging it out, because there's going to be one enemy along this whole thing. And honestly, it's kind of standard for this way. This is kind of a standard enemy that all entrepreneurs will face along the way, which is the big beast of not knowing, the unknown. Okay? It's a scary motherfucker. But what's cool about it is that Most people won't cross that hurdle on taking an action on something that they don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. But that's what defines how it's going to work and if it's going to work for you. It's how many times you venture into the space of, I'm going to try this and see if it works, but I don't know. I used to host the school games, which was a competition to see who could have the most amount of MRR each month at school. And one of the really cool things about that was you got to see all of the commonalities, all of what made those people similar. And what was interesting about it is there was one thing. I would ask them, so dude, how did you get here? And the number one universal thing they would all say was, I don't fucking know. I just tried some shit and it worked. And that is the difference between someone who will succeed and someone who will fail in the space of entrepreneurship, online business, community, is the person who's willing to try something even though it might not work. Might also be successful. So here's the technicals. If you decide to open up a community and follow with my suggestion, then here's what you're going to do. You're going to reach out to about 5 to 10 people, maybe a few more, that you know. Could be friends, family, the neighbor, the mailman, mailman's family. Yeah, any of that? It doesn't matter. The fact is you have to reach out to people and you have to be comfortable reaching out. What you're going to do is say, hey, I normally charge this amount of money, a large amount, maybe like $3,000 or more. But I'm not going to charge that with you, but I would still like to give you the result. In exchange, what I would love from you is a testimonial about the result that I give you. How does that sound? Naturally, it's a yes, because most people, when you give them a opportunity that they can't turn down, they will say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Of course, why would they turn it down? So you will go ahead and work with them for somewhere between 3 and 7 days. I would recommend somewhere around 7, no more than 7 though. And you're going to do at least 1 hour a day, probably no more than 2, because you don't necessarily want to scare them off with too much responsibility either. You're going to have 1 hour per day for 7 days. You're going to record all of these calls. On the first day, you're going to have what we call an activation point, which is a fancy way of saying a quick win. And that's just, for example, if you're teaching dating, well, on day 1, you create their Bumble or Tinder profile. Boom, it's kind of tangible. I can see it and move around on it, right? That's an activation point. That's the only thing that you plan. The rest of the time, you have everyone in that room, in that space, talking to each other. Because community is largely defined not as you being the leader telling everyone what to do and all the responsibilities. You're not the professional. You're there to relate. So you help guide everybody along the way. And so every day after that first one, for let's say it's 7 days, for the 1 hour, you come in and you go, all right, what do you guys want to talk about? And you talk about it for 1 hour. And sometimes it might go over. It might go to an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, you just do that. At the end of it, on the 7th day, on the last day, you're going to ask everybody, what do you think of your progress? How did you enjoy this? Where did you succeed? And they're going to tell you. You're going to have everyone shut up, and they're just going to share to all their buddies. Now, what's beautiful about testimonials is if you ask them to do it somewhere else, they'll spend more time fixing their hair and trying to sell someone on the thing that they just got from you, rather than just telling what their experience was. So this is how you get around it. You just say, no, just tell everyone in the room that you're doing the thing with, that you're doing this program with, how it went. What did you enjoy? So they share. You take all of those are your testimonials now. You take all 7 hours of recording, and that is now your course. You're going to take that course and put it into your community. You're going to give that away for free. It will be a free community, because in order for it to scale somewhere, even if you don't want to monetize it at some point down the line, you might want to. It's free. The information doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, most people can look up on Google the stuff that you're going to share. They're not there for your information, even though they may think it. They're there for you, to spend time with each other. That's why they're there. You'll find this beautiful thing that we'll talk about way more in detail later on, but what it has to do with is that people won't usually use courses, but they'll buy them. They also won't necessarily buy community, but they'll use them. And if you understand the way that the human mind works in that way, then you can end up selling them on what they want and then giving them what they need. Or in this case, selling them into a free space and then giving them what they need from that. So in conclusion, if you want to start the single greatest business opportunity in 2026, it's community. I'd recommend using Skool. Start with this beta client program that I've described. Take that course, put it away, in your community and give it for free. Hey, if you want this course, perfect. Just sign up and join my community. There you go. And do it as much as possible for 30 days. 30 days. If you can do it for a month, every day, just like, hey, do you want to come? Hey, do you want to come? You bring in a concentration of people all at once, and before you know it, not only do you only need about 10 super fans to be able to grow a community, but you only need about 30 people to have folks commenting and engaging with everyone in that process. And what you've essentially created, what I've just described to you in kind of fun terms, is how business used to do funnels and websites and all kinds of other stuff that required, like if you wanted to teach someone how to do violin and you actually wanted to live on it, well, you'd probably have to market yourself, have a website, have a funnel, have a salesperson, a whole process. This simplifies all of it, and that is why it's the best opportunity here, because you might be one person now and you'll likely be more people later. But until you are, it's very helpful to be able to have such a simple way to be able to keep everyone in one spot and not be distracted with all of what's going on in social media, but just be able to interact in one space with you and find out information from you about the things that they want to grow in their life. Okay, hope that helps. I'll see you later.